Hello, everybody, and good Monday morning. Yeah, it is morning. It's kind of dreary out. It's raining, but hey, it's April. April showers, they bring our Mayflowers. We know that. And we got lots of flowers already popping out everywhere, so it's kind of cool. But I thought, with morning, hey, let's talk about morning. And one of our Psalms does. It says, hey, get up and go. Yeah, it's Psalm 3. It says here, I lie down and sleep, and then I wake again. I wake again, for the Lord sustains me. In other words, He's got me through the night, and now I'm up and raring to go. Yeah. Only that's not what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the opposite end of that right now. We're going to talk about going to sleep at night, which is Psalm 4. And here's the verse for that. I will both lie down and sleep in peace, for you alone, O Lord, make me lie down in safety. Now, what's interesting is these two Psalms taken together, the early monastic community looked at it and said, hey, these Psalms are only 8 verses long. Why don't we memorize them? We will use the first one as our morning prayer, waking up, and our last one we'll say it all together as our evening prayer, going down and lying down in peace. Kind of a cool thing. But getting back just to Psalm 4, that is our Psalm in the Revised Common Lectionary for this coming Sunday, the third Sunday of Easter. And there's a reason for it. It's because of that word peace at the very end. Because the gospel lesson has Jesus, once again, this time in the Gospel of Luke, entering into a room where the disciples are, and he goes, peace be with you. All right, so we have that same theme going on. But what I like about Psalm 4 is that it's a text study in how you look at a psalm and how you can really go in a couple different directions with it. And part of the problem is the Hebrew language. The Hebrew language not being very precise in some of these points. So, and just to briefly tell you, there are those who think that, as the superscript says, to the leader with string instruments, a psalm of David. Well, a psalm of David can be translated a psalm for David, a psalm about David, a psalm to David. I mean, it can mean one that he wrote. We don't know. What we do know is all these superscripts were added on later in time. You had the Psaltery already put together, and then someone, a group of rabbis, went around and added all these superscripts, these superscriptions, more technically correct. So you have that going on. So is it a Psalm of David? If it is, hey, it fits in with Psalm 3, because Psalm 3 has the superscription that it's when David's on the run from Absalom. Remember when his son was rebelling against him and had David on the run? And it's a plea for refuge and help from God. Whereas Psalm 4 kind of says, hey, God's given it to you now because I'm the faithful one, not you. It kind of says that. If you read it in the context that it is a psalm of David, who's basically saying, God is on my side. He makes a plea first for God to listen to him. Then he kind of all puffed up says, well, God does listen to me because I'm the faithful one. So if you want in on the goodness that comes from God, then here's what you need to do. And it's kind of a neat psalm because it says if you go to bed at night, when you're disturbed, don't sin. Ponder it in your beds and be silent. In other words, don't think up ways to get even with people or to do them in. Don't let your mind wander in that direction. Just let it be a time of reflection and let God take over. Let God take over. Offer right sacrifices and put your trust in the Lord. So he's giving them a word of advice in what to do in this psalm. And he's also talking to those who maybe are faithful but aren't seeing any results of their faithfulness, and they're saying, oh, that we might see some good. Let's see some evidence that God is working on our side. Well, and then he offers a little admonition, a little prayer to God at that point, saying, and it's also a blessing as well at the same time, let the light of your face shine on us, O Lord. Go ahead, let us see your goodness and your graciousness as we work toward being faithful toward you. Okay, you have that going on. So it looks like, yeah, is David on the run? Yeah. Is David putting his full trust and faith in God? Yeah. So you can interpret it that way. But there's some things about this psalm that make others say, no, not really. We think this is a psalm about a person who at the time was in trouble because the weather wasn't right. There was a drought. There's a famine in the land. Because you have this other verse that says, you have put gladness in my heart more than when their grain and wine abound. In other words, I'm living in a time when the wine and grain isn't abounding, and we are in trouble. But you, God, see, your way of blessing us is so much better than even that. So is it that you're running away from your enemies? Or is it, hey, you're in trouble because of a famine? Now, there are other people who say it could go either way. Maybe that's why it's included in the Psalter, because it fits a lot of different situations. But the best part of it is the very last verse, and I'll read it again. I will both lie down and sleep in peace. For you alone, O Lord, make me lie down in safety. In other words, I'm just going to leave it all up to you, God. We say that a lot. Oh, come on, I see the Facebook memes all the time. Let go and let God. That's what the Psalter is saying right here. Let go and let God. Go to sleep. Be at peace. God's got it. All right? No, so not such a bad psalm after all. Maybe it was a good one that those early monastery communities, monastic communities would gather in and use as an evening prayer. Not bad at all. A very short one, easy to memorize, and it will just roll right off your lips. And we're going to let it roll off our lips this coming Sunday in church. God's blessings be with you. Enjoy the cooler weather. Yeah, it was kind of hot the other day up in our neck of the woods, especially if you're working out in the sun like I was finally tilling up my garden, getting that ready to plant. But cooled off. It's rain. We need the rain. And part of that is God's blessing for our good, abundant crops. I don't have any abundant wine here. I have to go get that from the store. But plenty of good eating. Getting ready to be planted and harvested this fall. Have a great day.